Dawson's Rambles.
Hey YouTube, Dawson Ryder here with a small bit of, I guess you could call Sentai news. We have the episode descriptions for King Ohger 48 and 49. I don't usually cover this, sometimes maybe I will more in the future, but there were some interesting notes in here that I wanted to talk about in regards to speculation of the future of King Ohger and a couple other things. So let me read them off first of all. So for 48, it says, Doug Dead declares war, and he will tidy up himself. And on the planet, a great number of Kajin Jimu appear. What the hell is that? King Ohger, enact evacuation plan 0. So it sounds like we might do some evacuation like we talked about doing before in an earlier arc, which is one of the interesting things I want to talk about. The other one is in episode 49, the King Ohgers are fighting to evacuate their citizens, and they face a mutiny by those same citizens. Wonder who's leading that? To answer the feelings of the citizens, they challenge Doug Dead, and unexpected reinforcements appear. The two things I wanted to talk about from this was the evacuation and the unexpected visitor, as I think there's a couple interesting things to speculate on. They did talk about doing an evacuation before, but I'm honestly curious if they'll go through with it. It sounds like the citizens aren't going to be on board with it, which I'm kind of tired of that, to be honest. I mean, it makes sense, but that is one of my complaints about King Ohger, is I feel that there's a few plot loops they keep going back to, whether it's the brothers fighting, which obviously resolved now, or, Kaguragi, are you going to betray us? Again, also kind of resolved, but they just did it too many times. Same thing with the citizens turning against the King Ohgers. I do like the part of the series that's about, the political aspects and that and whatnot, but I'm just tired of that. Regardless, I am curious because it sounds like the citizens might be against it, and they might be like, okay, well, let's just kill Doug Dead and then we don't have to leave. So I wonder if at the end they'll just resolve it. Obviously they're going to resolve it. They're going to kill the villain. We already know. Spoilers for every Sentai ever. The good guys are going to win. Sucks. I'd love to see one where and then the Sentai was murdered. Boom. Amazing ending. I'm curious if they'll just be in a bow. They'll kill Doug Dead and then they'll just stay on Terra. Or will they go back to Earth? That's what I wanted to speculate on, because we've established that they're originally from Earth, and we already traveled there. I think it would actually be kind of interesting. Part of me wants them to stay on Terra because I like that idea of a Sentai from a different world. I mean, I know that they are from Earth and they migrated there long ago, but I think that's an interesting part of their mythology and makes things interesting for the future if we ever see them again, if people visit them or they visit Earth. And I just like that unique aspect about them. However, I can't deny that if they appear in the future more beyond this duology of crossover movies, it would be interesting to see them go to Earth. That would actually make a kick-ass season 2. I would totally watch King Ohger season 2 that involved them trying to acclimate back to Earth, both the citizens and the kings. That would honestly be fascinating, and then especially you would face new threats. That would make an awesome season story. So I think there's a lot of story potential there. I almost want to say they want to make it easier for future crossovers by bringing them back to Earth, but they have absolutely zero regard for continuity and storytelling when it comes to setting those up, so it doesn't matter anyway. But I do think that would be interesting, especially since we are getting these Dawn Brothers and King Ohger or Kyoryuger movies. That would be cool to actually follow up on that story there, or if we see them again in the future. So that's actually kind of a cool idea that could present some interesting story wrinkles of them having to acclimate to Earth, especially with their whole royal society and whatnot. It kind of reminds me in a way of the Asgardians having to show up on Earth, but they just make them be like fish people. Not like they're fishermen. They're not like the alien rangers. Anyway, I might be over-speculating. They might just end up killing Doug Dead and staying on Terra. But since we've established that mythology about Earth, I thought it was worth thinking about. Speaking of, they talk about the unexpected visitor. Now, when I read this, I initially thought, obviously, it's going to be the Kyoryugers or Prince, since there's been rumors for a while that there was going to be at least one more appearance in the series proper. But I did see a lot of people thinking it's going to be Boom Boonju as a secret promo for the series. And I was trying to think back, honestly, off the top of my head, I can't think of too many times we did that. I think we did it once with the Sentai appearing. I think it was maybe Kyoryuger or something, I'm not sure. But I think Rider does that more often, where you'll have a story where the main writer pops up at the end, like with Revice and stuff. I think Geets did a thing, I don't know, but there's been more of that happening with Rider. Now, I don't want this to happen. I love King Ohger so much, and I hate when it gets interrupted by Toku's nonsense. I was already so against what the Kyoryuger stuff was going to be, and then they made me eat crow, and the 2 episodes were great. They tied the mythologies together. It was a great set of episodes that not only worked within the context of King Ohger's story, but was a great tribute. But then pretty much every appearance afterwards has been exactly what I feared, which was this shoehorned forced stuff, especially Prince's last appearance, where he really was stuck out like a sore thumb in that episode. I'm not even just talking about his acting. And they didn't even need that to set up that they would need help later. They could just show up and be like, hey, we need help right now. Regardless, I do hope it's the Kyoryugers. To be honest, I would rather save the Kyoryuger stuff for the crossover movie, but the Kyoryugers have already been integrated into the storyline, and it would make so much more sense, especially if there is talk of moving to Earth. That's what I would rather see in regards to who this unexpected visitor is. Now, I wouldn't mind the Boom Boongers showing up at the end if it was like almost a post-credit-esque scene. People would probably roll their eyes at that idea, but I wouldn't mind Sentai doing something like that. Rider did this thing for a very small period of time. In fact, if I recall, it was only 2 series where you had like the O-Metal showing up at the end of Double, and you had, I think, a scene of a couple kids from Fourze's Academy showing up at the end of O's. I liked little, like, tease Easter eggs like that. So I wouldn't mind the idea of Boom Boonger being teased at the very end, but I don't want them to just randomly show up and honk their horns. Dawn Brothers, they did it for Dawn Brothers. That was one of the teases they did. And that sort of made sense. I mean, Zenkaiger was kind of a silly series, so I didn't really care if, like, Prince showed up. I don't know. I was talking about Prince the Singer for a joke, and then I just realized there's a Prince Toku character I was just talking about. And it wasn't a good joke anyway. Anyway! Point is that I think that would just be random. The Kyoryugers have already been integrated into the plot, and the Boom Boongers showing up literally honking their horns in the faces of the show to save them and then probably just leave for a clear promo would just take me out of it. But I wouldn't mind the idea of them showing up at the very end somehow. Like, imagine if they really do migrate to Earth. I think it would be a really cool last scene if you have, like, let's say Gira and Rackley's looking out over the city and being like, man, it's going to be really tough to, you know, adjust to life here. And then all of a sudden they see the Boom Boongers honking their horns there and be like, oh man, there's even more heroes than us and the Kyoryugers. I wouldn't mind something like that, but I don't want the Boom Boongers to be integrated into the plot. But what do you think? Do you think they're going to leave Terra and end up taking home base on Earth? Who do you think's going to show up to help them? Will it be the Kyoryugers? Will it be the Boom Boongers? Will it be Deadpool? Let me know what you think in the comments as always. Until next time, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and climb the steps and ring that bell to get notifications for my videos. Dawson Rider, signing out.